The question: can Muslims, especially hijabis, teach English in Korea? The short answer is yes. In case you hadn't guessed from my lovely attire, yes, I am Muslim. I converted back in 2015 after I'd arrived in Korea and slowly began changing my wardrobe to what you see now. So I know both sides of this issue, both from a non-Muslim foreigner and a covered hijabi Muslim foreigner's perspective. So I consider myself uniquely qualified to answer this question. FAQ number 1, will I be discriminated against? The sad truth is, probably yes. But that goes for all foreigners in Korea, and it's definitely not the majority of the time. Sometimes it's overt, like being denied entry into certain businesses. Sometimes you won't even know it's happening. But most of the time, it's being stared at incessantly, mostly by older people. So just assume you look really good that day. As far as businesses go, my take is, if they don't want my money, then I'll happily take it to somewhere that does. There are so many kind people in Korea, so just try to ignore the ones who are ignorant. The good far outweighs the bad. Regarding hiring and applying for jobs, if you submit a picture with you wearing a headscarf, then yes, you will be at a disadvantage, especially from hagwons with closed-minded directors. However, let's look at the positive. This is a filtration system. You didn't want that job anyway, did you? For hijabis, as well as people of color in general, whether you're Muslim or not, you will likely have to send out more applications, but in the end, you will find the job that fits you. It will be worth it. So don't give up. And remember, my number one piece of advice when searching for a TEFL job in Korea or any country is always, always, always speak to the current foreign teacher or teachers, if at all possible. If a school tells you that you can't, there's something up. FAQ number 2, can I find halal food in Korea? Yes and no. It's probably going to be harder than finding it in your home country because Korea is generally less diverse and has less of a concentration of Muslims. Itaewon in Seoul and Sasang and Dushil in Busan all have halal restaurants and grocers. But don't worry, that doesn't mean other locations are out of luck. Because Korea is geographically quite small, delivery is incredibly fast, usually next day. I mention this because there are services that offer halal meat and other food products for delivery. My two favorites are Yes Halal and Al Bazaar. Check the description for links to both of them. There's also the KMF, the Korea Muslim Federation. They've created a wallet-sized card that explains in Korean and English what we can and can't eat, especially helpful for those who are more strict about following a halal diet. I've put a link to the image file in the description of the video, so you can download it to your phone and just show it at a restaurant. Most restaurants will be willing to work with you and not only help you with the menu, but sometimes make substitutions in dishes. That being said, do understand that some wait staff will say there's no meat or no pork in something when what they really mean is it's only a little. So what I'm trying to say is you will almost definitely eat something you're not supposed to at some point. Just try your best. FAQ number 3, am I allowed to wear my hijab at work? Luckily, Korea has freedom of religion as well as a ban on religious discrimination written into its constitution. So under the law, yes, you can. That being said, some schools might ask you to modify your wardrobe somewhat. This likely comes from a lack of awareness about the reason why you dress the way you do. So my first step would be to politely educate management on the topic. Remember to frame it in terms of cultural or religious differences, including the phrase, in my country, we usually fill in the blank. Hopefully, this step will be enough to resolve any problems, since education and understanding are key. If not, though, you'll have a difficult decision to make. Yes, there are protections under the law, but there's also plenty of stories of hagwons making the life for teachers so unbearable that it pushes them to quit. But don't let this scare you off. Again, as I said previously, do your homework. Talk to the foreign teachers before you accept a contract. Make sure you know who you're working for. FAQ number 4, am I allowed to pray at work? For what it's worth, my school couldn't care less how many times a day I pray, as long as it doesn't interrupt my class schedule, which it doesn't, and as long as all my work gets done, which it does. Discriminating based on religion is illegal here. Check out Article 11 of the Korean Constitution. There's additional protections built into the labor law as well for certain groups. As with the previous question, be careful about which school you sign with so that you don't run into trouble to begin with, and if something does come up, focus on politely educating your coworkers first. It will save you a lot of trouble. FAQ number 5. What about Ramadan? I work during Maghrib. First of all, I am no scholar, so I can't advise you religiously on this one. I can only look at it from a teacher's and a manager's perspective. My best advice is to try to talk privately with your manager a week or two before Ramadan starts and explain the coming month and what it means for your personal needs and your schedule. The likelihood of having your class schedule changed is quite low, but having a snack or two during class, that sounds a lot more reasonable, doesn't it? It will depend entirely on your school's culture as well as the management team, which is again why it's so important to vet the school before signing any contract. FAQ number 6. Is there a masjid or a Muslim community in my city? The answer to this question depends a lot on where you are placed. In Seoul and in Busan, there are beautiful masjids, but there's only one in each city. Keep in mind, these are the 2 largest cities in the entire country. Even though I live in Busan, the masjid is about 1 hour from my home, and the majority of the women who go there don't speak English, so I miss the feeling of sisterhood that I'm looking for. A handful of the smaller cities have masjids as well, but most of them are converted office buildings or similar structures and lack some of the beauty and art that you might be used to seeing. If having a large Muslim community is important to you, I'd advise you to join some Facebook groups for different cities in advance and figure out where you want to work and then focus your job search accordingly. That's it for today. If there's any questions that I missed or you have a suggestion for a future video, please leave it in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest tips and tricks. And of course, if you need personalized assistance, please email koreae2helper@gmail.com.